Welcome to Paranormal Unveiling, where we talk about pretty much whatever the hell I want, as long as it's weird, true, creepy, controversial, or informative about the paranormal. So sit back, relax, and listen to the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Unveiling podcast. And today I have another guest with me. And not only is this just a guest on our podcast here, but this is a friend of mine, which I look up to very much, respect very much. And his name is Brian from POV Paranormal. Say hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian.
There you go. How's things going for you?
Going pretty good, buddy. How about you?
I'm hanging in there, fair to middling.
Good. That we can't ask for a lot more than that, can we?
Right. That's all I ask for these days.
There you go.
So Brian, I've got a list of questions here that I want to get into with you. But just on a personal note, the picture that's behind you, and for those of you listening or watching on YouTube, this is actually an investigation that Brian invited me on at South Pittsburgh Hospital, and that's near Chattanooga, Tennessee. If you're not watching on YouTube, you'll have to go over there to see it. But we had a great time at this location, and we got some really cool stuff out of here.
Yeah, we did.
Including some really very specific EVPs, too, that we might try to get into if we have time. And shadow figure, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, and we was able to capture that on thermal also.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this place, if you ever get a chance to investigate there, I would recommend it. Not only were the people there very helpful for us, if we needed to go outside, take a break, have a smoke break or anything, very accommodating, really nice people to just talk to. They kind of give you backstories. If you come across something, you can ask them questions, and they know enough about the place where they can kind of help you out with some of the background of it. But it was a fun time, and I'm so glad you invited me on that. That was, a once in a lifetime deal.
I mean, I figured we were in your home state, so, and you kind of had obviously a whole lot going on in life.
Right.
So you weren't able to really focus on other investigations and everything. You kind of had more important stuff going on. So we seen it as an opportunity to finally get to meet you in person.
Right.
And work together. And, we had dinner together. It was a damn good time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know, I believe. But
I think the feeling is mutual there. So, yeah.
My next project to getting together with you and the team, because you have some great team members. It's, you've got Ernie and his wife and your wife, and you have two newer members that you picked up not too long ago.
Right.
Which the entire POV team, just amazing people. Just very humble, gracious people that I can't say enough good about it. But I want to get out to Post Town, which you guys are kind of the resident team for Post Town. So I definitely want to get out there, because you have one spirit in general, or in specifically, that your wife and I were actually, I think, talking about this, where she's called Sarah.
Yeah.
But that's not her real name. And that's something that I picked up.
Correct. Again, and it's funny that you say that, because we've never put it out there. We've always just, for the sake of privacy, we'll never publicly on any video or anything like that, we'll never disclose her real name.
Right.
So as far as everybody, as far as everybody knew that's watched any of the videos, the documentary, the My Ghost Story, anything like that, it's Sarah. But so for you to pick up on that, I mean, that just kind of validates your abilities.
Well, it was just every time like you've been live there, which I love watching you guys go live there, but every time that I've picked up on her being around, um, I just always got that overwhelming sense that that's what you call her, but that's not her actual name. And I obviously I'm not going to say because
Oh
I
yeah,
was talking to your wife and I did say the name to her privately, obviously, but
yeah.
which I was correct on, which surprised the hell out of me, but um, I would really like to get down to Post Town and meet her in person, if so to speak.
Yeah.
So
And
that's one of my things. I want to get to you down there at Post Town.
oh yeah. Well, and obviously, so like the Unfortunate Travels guys, they were just
Mhm.
in town. So obviously, since we're really close with them, really close with you, the invite obviously goes out to you too. We've got our house. The Unfortunate Travels guys stayed at this last time. They've stayed at Ernie's house. So our house is open to you. So there's no need for a hotel or anything like that.
Oh, awesome,
Yep.
awesome.
You
Well,
stay with us.
we've picked up a couple of new members for the PSI team now.
That's fine. We
So
got plenty of room.
just warning you, just
Yeah,
warning.
that's fine. We got
Some
plenty of room.
really cool people. I think you would enjoy both the newer members of PSI team, but which
Deal.
we had our other member Jeremy. We had when the South Pittsburgh Hospital investigation took place. He just wasn't
Right.
able to. Plus, he's new, and I wanted to get him kind of not
Yeah.
throw him on the fire right away. But we're going to be doing that this April too with our investigation coming up. But which is a long ways away from you. It's all the way in Oklahoma, so
Woo. Yeah.
that'd be a hell of a drive. But
That's
so
nuts.
let me get into some questions,
Yeah.
so we don't just run wild on this because I could sit here and talk to you for hours, brother.
That's what
It's
friends
just
do, right?
right, yeah. We always have a good time talking, but I want to get to some questions with you, um, and just see what you think.
Yeah.
So obviously, first question everybody wants to know, and everybody always asks, what was the experience that got you into the paranormal personally?
So I wouldn't say it was an experience. Like most people, they have an experience that they can't explain or whatever.
Mhm.
So for me, it was a little different. My dad actually, I grew up with my dad telling me and my brother, on basically everybody, stories of the house that he grew up in.
Mhm.
And some of it seemed a little kind of out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this real? Or is dad just blowing smoke?
Right.
So, like one story, they were sitting, my uncles and aunts and my dad was on the couch. My grandma and grandpa was fighting. She grabbed a skillet and reared back and was getting ready to, she swung it at him to hit him. And as her hand's going forward, the skillet flew out of her hand the opposite direction. And I guess my dad said my grandpa was intoxicated at the time and said he sobered up like that and
Bet.
was like, okay, because he was kind of in denial, saying that there was nothing there, and then
Mhm.
that. So I was actually, I think Tracy pointed it out to me, or I seen it. I don't know. Anyway, I seen it somewhere. The local newspaper did an article on a team called Paravisions, and they're
Okay.
still together on Facebook, on TikTok.
Mhm.
So they had a phone number, I think it was, or an email. But anyway, I contacted them and explained to them, expressed my interest in the field. And this was, before all the shows and all the hoopla,
Right.
where it was now it's almost become a fad. But so they invited me to a meeting. I went, met with them. Then they invited me to an investigation.
Cool.
Went with them. Nothing really crazy happened at the investigation, and which that's how it goes, right? Sometimes it's just
Yeah.
quiet. And which led me to kind of doubt it a little more skeptical.
Right.
And then we were doing this one investigation. This was my oh crap moment. We get a phone call at like 11 o'clock at night. And this guy was like, it's emergency. I don't even want to be in my house. He was terrified. So we get there and he's waiting outside. And he was like, you guys just go on in, do whatever you got to do in my house. I'm going to be down here by the pond. So we're like, that's kind of strange. Like, he has no idea really who we are, and he's
Right.
just,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. Well, while we were in there, it was super calm, peaceful. So we were kind of beginning to think that maybe the guy was a little, crazy on the crazy side. So we thought, well, maybe he's the catalyst, maybe we should get him.
Right.
So we did. So we convinced him to come back in the house, and the whole atmosphere was completely different when he walked in.
Right.
It was like, oh, like there's electricity in the air. There's something. And we had a basketball or a soccer ball. It was a heavy ball, and we set it like about a foot behind the edge of the step, so that it couldn't accidentally, a breeze, vibration, just fall down the steps. And I'm facing him with the camera. I'm in a chair, he's in the couch, and the stairs are right behind him. They go down and then they turn and then they, come down.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, that basketball or soccer ball comes bouncing down the stairs, and it turns and comes down the other set of like 4 or 5 stairs and stops right in between him and I. And dude, I just froze. I couldn't move the camera to film the ball. I literally just froze. And I remember one of the guys was like, holy, did you get that on camera? And I was like, nope.
Dang it.
I was like, nope. I completely froze. So that was my first moment where I was like, okay, I really can't explain that, because nobody was walking upstairs for any vibration.
Right.
We knew there were, I don't even think he had the air or heat on. And even if he did, so we had the ball far enough back. It was one of those moments where it was like, okay, all right,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's roll with it.
Kind of opens you up to the idea of maybe there is something to this.
Yes. Yep.
Right.
100%.
So how did you kind of touched on starting with Paravisions, which a lot of us in the field have seen them. I've seen them on TikTok a lot, but how did POV start?
Okay. So I went from Paravisions, and then a real good close friend of mine to this day, Nick McQuethy, was in Paravisions with me, and that's actually where I met him. We decided to kind of branch off and just do our own thing. So we started Crossover Paranormal, and that's when we started to get into getting booked at conventions as guest speakers, where we did the episode of My Ghost Story and Children of the Grave 2, which is still on Amazon Prime, and all that cool stuff. Which now looking back, I feel as though it kind of took away my focus on the field. Right, I got a little taste of, I don't want to say not fame, but I got a little taste of of that, whatever.
Right.
And it kind of skewed my view. It was almost like I kind of wanted that more, and like I kind of started to chase that a little more instead of the paranormal field, like searching for answers,
Right.
doing research and everything. So we kind of dismantled Crossover because of work and everything, and honestly, the conventions and everything was kind of taking a toll on my relationship with our marriage. Being gone and her staying home with the kids. So that shut down. Fast forward a few years later, and me and Ernie are at work together. And Ernie and we grew up together. Our mom and dads were friends. Our dads worked together at the paper mill. And Ernie has always been intrigued with the paranormal field, but he's never done an investigation, never really knew how to go about doing it, right? He watched the shows and stuff.
Right.
And of course, Jamie, with her psychic abilities, she's dealt with the paranormal field her whole life. So because one of my proudest moments was, like my mom when she was alive, like me going to conventions and doing all that stuff. Whenever she would introduce me to one of her coworkers, she wouldn't say like, "Hey, this is my son Brian." She would say, "This is my son, the ghost hunter." Like, so it's like I knew that it was something that my mom was really proud of
Yeah.
of me doing. So when Ernie said that, I was like, "Hell yeah, like let's do it." So we just kind of got together. We just did that, and then got the idea, to do the eyeball, your point of view as the O, and
Right.
yeah, just kind of went from there. And with Tracy being an empath, it was like, okay, so we've got our empath, our medium, and then just me and Ernie. Uh, and then, it was like, what's a cool concept? Two childhood friends, two married couples, and then Steve and Denise. Whenever we needed a cleansing done or anything like that, Denise being a practicing witch and her bloodline for generations. Cool stuff that we're doing, like Mansfield and
Right.
the bigger locations.
Right.
So we thought, well, that's another married couple, and Steve's engineering background and his skepticism could bring a lot to the table for the team. Denise, her ability could bring a lot to the table for the team. So then we added them, and here we are.
I'll be honest with you, Steve and Denise. I hadn't met them or really known about. Believes that the possibility is there, but he's very level-headed when he tries to explain things, which is what we should be doing. And I think that's what he does is a great point of view.
Yeah.
And Tracy and Jamie, obviously, I think they're great practitioners at what they do. And I know that you guys rely on them a lot to kind of read the location and then you go from there, which I think was awesome when we were there. In one of the rooms there, I happened to be, I had just gotten touched and I turned around and looked at Ernie because Ernie was about 4 or 5 feet behind me. And I was like, did you just touch me? And he's sitting there with his hands in his pockets, right? And he goes, no. I go, and I can't remember the name that we came out with, but I was like, is this a so and so? And he goes, not the person associated with the room. And then like and she says the same name. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then we end up finding that person that we were picking up on one of the articles that they have on the wall, which was awesome. But
and I think it actually had their picture too, right?
it did. It did.
Yeah.
It was a young lady that was a technician there, like a radiologist technician that was there.
Yeah. Yep. I love it when that happens too. When you've got, two people with those abilities that like can validate.
This place is dark, right? It's dark when you're walking through the halls down there. So the things that are hanging on the wall, you don't see. You don't really like. You might notice that there might be something on the wall, but it's dark.
But we at that time though, we hadn't even ventured to that half of the building.
Right, where the actual article up on the wall,
right,
showing her, we hadn't been there yet.
No, we started off on the other.
holy crap, there she is.
Yep.
We kind of stumbled on it, but just for anybody who might think, oh, well, you saw it on the wall. Well, we hadn't been in the part of the hospital where this is hanging on the wall yet.
Nope.
So it was a really cool experience. So let me ask you the next question. What's the best evidence you've ever caught?
Oh, geez. Oh, man. Jeez. A little over 20 years of doing this. That's closing at Indiana State is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's still part of me that kind of is like, could that have been the wind? And I don't know. It's just, anyway,
Right.
just that's, the skeptic mind. I always, not as much as Steve, but I still question.
And you should.
So I think the shadow that we captured at Post Town, and there's only one quick, there's a short video of it on our TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
It literally, maybe close to a year before we finally put it out there, because it was
Yeah.
like, it was almost like one of those too good to be true. So we had the camera sitting on the ground, and as anything, this is how we realized that it was legit. So if I've got a light source here and the wall is 100 feet down the hallway, if I'm blocking that light source right here to make a shadow, by the time that shadow hits the wall, it's going to take up the whole wall.
Right.
It's like your little finger is going to be huge. Doorway there. So I don't know if it comes out of the doorway or if it comes out of the wall. But anyway, it just to the side of the door underneath the exit sign, the brick on the wall are real glossy, so
Mhm.
it is reflecting the light really well. But there is a shadow, perfect like height of an adult, takes like 2 steps out, and then like it's like it turns and faces us. Wasn't with POV, but uh that's probably the best evidence that I personally have captured. For POV, oh man. Oh yeah, the Gill House. So uh Tracy and Jamie, that place is active, right? But the day that we were there, it was really quiet,
Mhm.
really calm, really peaceful, not a whole lot going on. So his door, and just they were just planning on doing something to us.
Right.
Well, you can hear Boo Buddy, and this is on our TikTok also. You can hear Boo Buddy detecting a change in temperature. And he says it like a couple times. And you can clearly hear, the girls' voices. And Tracy, I think it's Tracy, says, I think Boo Buddy's effed up. And just starts laughing because he just kept repeating it.
Right.
Well, after one time that he says, did you make it cold in here? You hear a woman's voice that almost sounds like Siri, but it's not. Didn't hear it, so it wasn't a disembodied voice. It was just a crystal clear Class A EVP.
Nice.
Yeah, so when we caught that, we like freaked out. It was really cool.
Right. And when you catch stuff like that, you're like, oh my God, did I just catch that? Like you question yourself. You listen about 50 times and you're going, yeah, I caught that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, you know how rare it is to get like a class. So for that EVP, I was like, yeah.
Right. Right. So my next question is what is your most favorite experience that you've had while you were investigating? Like your personal experience.
Oh,
Have you ever come across something where you just like I know when we were at the hospital there, you were interacting with what we believe to be one of the patients that had
yeah.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
My question is there an experience that you've had that just kind of really touched you personally?
Yeah.
Not literally, but like,
Right. So, back years ago when I was telling you that it's been a long time since I've done one of these, uh, back then, during the conventions and other shows and stuff, I would get asked this question and I would always, give a story of, something creepy or scary because on the Underground Railroad. So here's that story.
okay.
Um, as you know, and I love you, and I believe in you, and I believe in Jamie, I believe in Deb Lance, Scotty Rourke. There's a few psychics, mediums that I genuinely believe in that I know are legit. However, I am hugely skeptic on people that claim they have those abilities. So,
Understandable.
so we were doing this house. It was part of this at the time, and he was saying that there's a slave lady over there standing in that corner and she's holding her baby, but her baby's passed away because she had to cover she covered her baby's mouth to keep the baby from crying during transport, right? So
Mhm.
that they wouldn't get caught. So she accidentally unalived. I hate saying that, but she
Right.
accidentally unalived her own child for her freedom to try to get her and her family to freedom.
Right.
So none of our equipment's going off, and we've got several pieces of equipment in that corner. Another investigator goes over there and he's trying to make contact. Nothing. He don't feel a cold chill. He don't nothing. So I was like, and he wasn't a father or anything. He was a young single male. So I was like, hey, let me stand over there.
Mhm.
So I go over there and I stand. I'm asking some questions, kind of getting a little personal. And I said, hey, I said, instead of us asking you to, light these meters up, like unalive your child, to get freedom. I was like, so if you don't mind, can I hold your baby? And I held my arms out. And Josh, dude, like I didn't have just like one or two tears come out of my eyes, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say it was the same amount of sadness as when I lost my mom, because that's on a whole nother level, but uh the amount of sadness that like immediately hit me, it was like
I understand it. Yeah.
I was like, oh, like if that's what it feels like to be an empath or medium, I wanted nothing to do with it. Like I immediately was like, I was I was bawling,
Yeah.
and I was like, I gotta take a break, and I left, went outside, and just tried to gain my composure because it was something that I had never felt or experienced, before in my life, and I felt like maybe I'm not gonna say that I helped her, but like I said, instead of us asking her to do stuff, like
Right.
I want to do something for you,
Right.
and that was yeah, that was a pretty powerful moment.
Oh, I can't. I understand because I've had experiences like that, but
Right,
especially for people that aren't used to this or aren't empaths or anything like that, people don't tell.
right, because everybody wants to hear the scary, creepy stuff, right?
Right.
So when you worded your question the way that you did, I was like, oh, I like that. This is when I tell that story.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this next question. What has been your favorite location to investigate?
Um, that's a tough one, but I believe I'll have to say Kings Island amusement park here in Ohio.
Okay.
And it's because we one of the members of our team worked there, so had like a little inside scoop to get in there.
All right.
So nobody's ever investigated there. We investigated it, and then one of my friends that was on worked with the show Ghost Hunters Taps
Yeah.
uh, told him about the location and sent him some of the evidence that we captured, and they ended up investigating there and doing an episode there. But I think that was my favorite place because that's the first time I've ever heard a spirit say my name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a little girl that supposedly, I shouldn't say supposedly, haunts the place. Uh, I asked her if she wanted to play, and we heard like the door jiggle, and we could hear actually a disembodied voice, but I couldn't really make out what she was saying. But on the audio, and I still have the audio, so I'll have to send it to you. You hear her, and then you hear me say, I can hear that. And then you hear her again. So what she says is, want to play, Brian, in that rhythm. And then I say, I can hear that. And then she says, thank you. So that was pretty cool for me.
Now, for the people that don't know what a disembodied voice is, that's an actual audible sound that you hear with your own ears. Now, an EVP or electronic voice phenomena is something that you capture on a device you don't hear with your own ears. But so the experience of hearing a disembodied voice when that person is not seen is a much different experience than when you're in evidence review and listening to your audio recordings of a voice recorder and you hear something. It's a totally different experience. Way better. But that's awesome. It's kind of cool that I know you've been to a lot of different places in your career, so I know that's got to be a tough choice of where. But that's another good story. You heard your name specifically, but
Yeah. Yeah. It was, it completely freaked me out.
right, right, understandable. So let me ask you another quick question. How do you feel about most of the paranormal shows that are on TV now?
um, hold on a second. Sorry about that. Hey, hon, can you call dad? Sorry.
I'll edit it out.
Yeah. Uh, where are you at? Like, I lost you when that call came through.
Look down on the bottom of your screen.
No.
A Zoom tab or anything.
Hi, I see you.
There you go.
All right. Sorry. Um, okay. So what was that again?
What What do you think about the paranormal TV shows?
So, um, oh, that's a tough one because like my other best friend was on Ghost Hunters International and the show Trending Fear. So I will say that I feel as though they're good for the field in a sense that it this field used to be so taboo, right?
Right.
And then the shows came out and it got a little more popular, and now not everybody, but most people are open to discussing the paranormal.
Right.
But on the same hand, I feel like it has hurt the field in a sense,
Okay.
uh, because now, without doing any research of any kind, people go out and grab, and I don't discourage it by any means, but I would suggest that do your research on the field, in the field, or not in the field, but on the field, on different theories, on different types of hauntings, like research the paranormal. And that's all aspects of the paranormal, mind you. So instead of just going out and grabbing a voice recorder and going to a place and not knowing exactly what you're doing, but instead you're mimicking the people that you see on TV. Next thing you know, you've got yourself in some hot water in a situation that now you don't know how to handle. And now you're calling out to some of the more experienced teams for help. I feel like, and of course, you know, everything's a demon.
That's my big thing.
Yeah,
It's
everything's
hard
a
to
demon.
feel. Yeah. I think it gives a false sense of expectation of what we actually do.
Yes,
People think that we go there for a couple hours and we found a demon.
yes,
We're there for 10, 12 hours, days sometimes.
yep.
And the likelihood of actually finding a demon is next to none. I mean, like it's very, very, very rare.
And let's be honest. So if you actually know and have researched and studied demons, not saying that you have to be a demonologist by any means, but what makes you think that if you go into a location, are there any demons here, or make your presence known? It's a demon. Do you really think a demon is going to just come right out? And that's why there's different stages of possession.
Right.
They don't just come right out like, hey, it's me, Demon Bob. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
there's different stages of possession because they draw you in. That's why rare situations that we've had. Not saying that it was demonic, but I got scratched, but I'm pretty sure it's my grandma. Why the hell would your grandma do harm to you?
Right.
But it's because of that infestation stage, or that infatuation stage of possession. So it's they draw you in, make you feel comfortable, and now you're obsessed, the next stage of possession. And then so it's a demon's not just going to come out and reveal itself to you.
Right. And in 25 years or almost 25 years of doing this, I, I've had one case, and then I've been on hundreds of cases. It is not common. So I
Right.
think I think the problem is people confuse a malevolent spirit with demonic activity when it's just a dickhead to be precise, as in life so in death sometimes.
100%.
There are those out there, which I know you've had an experience at a location, and I won't say, and you don't have to either unless you want to, but where you experienced being scratched. Was that the first time?
Uh, no, that was the second time.
Okay.
in the same location. But the first time was a isolated incident that we believe it was an attachment that came with a person. So
Oh, okay. All
yeah,
right.
so because that had happened and like years later, nobody had gotten scratched, nothing, nothing like that until recently when things have changed.
Right.
Uh yeah, and the fact that it happened like on live, uh other people sitting in front of us that is looking at me, that I've got a camera in one hand and a device in the other, to where it's like,
Yeah.
and obviously, well, you've seen the scratch, like
Right. Yeah.
not a contortionist. There's no way that I'm going to, reach this way and reach up high as it was. And it was just the one scratch that came down the center of my back and then kind of drifted off to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was pretty freaky.
Yeah. It's a whole different world when you finally realize that the paranormal can harm you. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people understand that. 99% of the stuff you do, I mean, you might run into a dickhead spirit. You might run into grandma. You know what I mean? They could be, ornery, they could be nice, but you're not going to get hurt. But then there's that 1% of it can. And if you don't know what you're doing, that can be pretty traumatizing. Because I know when it first happened to me, I was very early in my career. And what came with that scratch was actually handprints on my shoulder blades and a scratch between my shoulder blades. But the handprints weren't just normal handprints, they looked like skeletons. It
Dang.
looked like skeleton fingers
Yeah.
on my, and they were red, and there was a welt on it.
How
And
you ever told me about that? That's crazy.
right, so it's the one case that I personally believe was a demonic oppression.
Yeah.
And when I left that house, it happened to me as I was walking out the door. And I've described this on the show before in episode 3, I believe. Uh, I felt sick in that house the entire time I was there. So I told the guy, like, I felt like I was going to throw up.
Yeah.
And I told the guy, look, I got to go outside. I can't keep standing in here. And as I did, he was walking in front of me. He opened the door and he walked out. And as soon as I hit the threshold, something hit me like hard. And I'm a big guy, you know what I mean? At the time I was, I've been 5'10" my whole life, but I weighed probably 205 or so. Hit me hard enough that I fell forward into the homeowner and we both hit the ground. And my back was on fire. Now,
Dang.
could I have hit something falling down? Possibly, but I fell straight forward. The door didn't hit me. You know what I mean? The door was open. There was no screen door to this house. The door was just opened and he walked out and I started to walk out. And, when you get out on the outer step, you'll turn around and close the door.
Right.
I didn't even make it that far. As soon as I hit the threshold, pew, when we both went down face first, I was on top of him. And I felt that burning. And I asked him, I said, hey, look at this. What the hell is making my back burn? He pulls up my shirt and he goes, man, I've got to get a mirror because you've got to see this. And on my shoulder blades you can see 4 fingers and a thumb, but it looks like bones. And there's a scratch down the middle of my shoulder blade.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, how do you explain that? Because the
Right.
only way, logically, to make a mark on you is for something to physically, in solid form, like my hand or whatever, to touch you, to
Right.
use it. And when something can do that without you seeing it, it's not physically there. That is, yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that I know you tell people also. 95% of what you do is going to be fine and dandy. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
But be prepared to find what you seek. Because sometimes you will run across things that can make your life miserable for a little while. Because I know that experience traumatized me. I reassessed my whole situation of what I was doing and why I was doing it and should I be doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And I took a long break after that. And I was involved with exorcism that happened with that case. We ended up contacting a church, but it really can make you reevaluate your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
but so I think the shows kind of give you that false sense of what we actually do. And
Yeah.
these guys are not coming across demons. They might come across something a little more malevolent, but it's I can guarantee you none of those shows have caught an actual demon.
Right.
Here, so let me ask you the next question, because I've got a million questions here and we could sit for hours. But what's your favorite piece of equipment?
Oh, I think probably our portal.
I love that box. I
I
love that box. And you're
and
gonna
I think
yeah,
it's so like there's a couple reasons. One, it is an actual antique radio that we have no idea like who it belonged to. And if you believe in attachments, hey, maybe that box has an attachment to it. But there's no static and none of that when a spirit comes through and it's a crystal clear voice like that. I love it.
right. And I've heard that box speak crystal clear. And it's a trip. I love your box, man. I wish I had one just like it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's probably it.
Let me ask you, and we'll make this one brief because we kind of touched on it, but do you personally believe in demons?
Yes.
Okay. Now that being said, do you believe there's a difference between the religious type demons and maybe the more paganism described demons?
Wow. Never really thought about that. I've always just thought of demons are demons. You know what I mean? I think I think it probably could be different for different religions. I don't know if Muslims actually believe in demons, but I know there's the jinns.
Right.
Yeah, the
Yeah, it's
jinns.
kind of like their demon, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they probably see the jinn how us Christians see demons.
Right.
But for me as a Christian, I can't picture like what their demons are.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Understandable. Okay. So uh for anybody that's interested in getting into the paranormal, what would be your best advice to start out?
Start out once again, do research on types of hauntings, uh, activities like know what a poltergeist is. Like you said, a disembodied voice from an EVP. Learn uh, the stages and what each stage is of possession. Once again, not saying that you're going to come across it often, but and just do research. Don't just watch a TV show and use those TV shows as the Bible, as the handbook for paranormal investigating. Uh, keep a skeptic mind. Not every noise that you hear is paranormal. But also have an open mind. And that's kind of a fine line to walk. But I would say if you want to get into it, keep that in mind, and then get you a digital voice recorder, camera, with or without night vision preferably, and some type of EMF meter, whether it be K2, a Mel meter, tripwire, just some kind of EMF meter. And honestly, that's really all you need. I mean, you got the camera for audio and video evidence, your voice recorder for strictly audio evidence, and then your EMF meter for that type of activity. So, and also learn your equipment, know what it does, know and learn what triggers that equipment.
Right. What affects it? Because some people don't understand, and something that we actually had on our investigation where somebody keyed up the radio and that thing screamed out. It scared the crap out of everybody. But understand that what your equipment is capable of and what can affect it, so you can determine. I think that's a great point you made.
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of touched on this earlier. Mediumship, yay or nay? Should they be part of an investigative team?
Yay. 100%. If, once again, if they're legit, yeah. I'm sorry. I hate to keep saying that, but definitely, because once again, not having those abilities, I'm literally just going off what our equipment does. So when you have your equipment going off, and even if it's the obvious, if like you say a name, and now all of a sudden this name comes through the portal or the obvious, it's like having that medium there to validate things. And also, like, we could be wasting our time in the dining room of this building, while like you're looking in the other room and like, dude, the spirit's in there. We need to be in there.
Right.
Otherwise, without having you there, I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs. I'm fishing in a pond with no fish.
Right. I understand.
Let's go over there where they're biting. So yeah.
Right. So here's my thing too, is unfortunately your hesitation is kind of warranted, because there are those out there that are not as legit. There's others that they have abilities and they're not quite as strong or developed. But I think, like in between you and I think it was more of the proving, because I had talked to you before to ask you this question: do you think I'm legit? And you were like, well, we'll see.
I did, yeah.
And you were brutally honest with me, and which I can appreciate. I mean, as much as I hate proving myself, you have to.
I didn't want. That's why I felt bad when I said that. When I said, "Well, we'll see," because I didn't want to put any, I don't know, not pressure on you, but like I didn't want you to feel like you had to prove yourself to me. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. But you kind of do, for people to understand what you do and that you are legit.
Yeah.
To see that, you know what I mean? So,
but like I told Jamie, when we started POV and stuff, I told her, I was like, listen, if you're not getting anything, if something's not coming to you, like, don't try to force it.
Right.
Don't reach, because then is it really something coming to you, or is it your imagination creating this because you want it so bad and that you're trying to prove it? So when we were at one location and they were giving us the tour, they literally, every room we went into, they looked at Jamie. What are you feeling here? What are you getting in here? What's happening here? And it burnt me up, because I'm thinking, just shut the hell up and just let it come to her. Let her feel what's there.
Right.
And I'm proud of her, because in a few rooms she was like, I don't feel anything. I'm like, that a girl, like, just nothing. Yeah.
And that happens to me quite often too, as people are like, were you picking up on anything? Not where we're standing. Now, if we want to walk 100 yards that way, I got you, because there's something down there. Because I think you and I were walking through South Pittsburgh, and I had kind of walked around and just kind of separate. You guys were on the same floor, but I think you were on the other side. And I just kind of wandered off by myself for a little bit. And, I started feeling that energetic pull of something in this general area.
Yeah.
And I think you asked me that, are you feeling any direction that you're being pulled in? And I was like, well, I was down there earlier. Something's going on down there, which happens to be where the shadow figure that I caught was, coincidentally enough. But I don't know. I know I've asked you after the investigation if you feel like I'm legit or not, and you said yes.
And I stand by that.
What I don't think I've ever asked you what made you feel that way.
Because of the fact that you obviously weren't bullshitting, if you will, but like, if you didn't feel anything, you didn't feel anything, Right. So you didn't have stuff going on. You didn't like elaborate stuff in every room of the building that we went to. You know what I mean? So it was like, And then when we did have stuff that you mentioned first, and then stuff starts happening.
The EVP you caught?
Yeah. So it's like, okay, shit.
Maybe he is legit.
Yeah. It's like,
Awesome.
and that's another reason why I like having mediums on cases, is because, like I said, you can validate the hits of the equipment that we're having, or you can basically not say that it's going to happen, but well, you did.
I have for
You
you a
when
few
we,
times.
but yeah, when we were at the Octagon House, you said, and Ernie couldn't see the phone, he couldn't see the screen, the chat, and you typed in there, Ernie's about to feel something. I forget your exact words. And then Ernie talks about what he felt on his hand. And I was like,
Right.
what?
Go figure.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so let me ask you this next question. Do you feel like a spirit can follow you home?
yes.
Have you ever had it happen?
Yes.
And just quickly, what were you able to help that spirit, or
Yeah. I wasn't, but Tracy was.
okay,
We, I mean, by help the spirit, we didn't help the spirit cross over or anything like that, but we kind of just accepted it and welcomed it, I guess.
so it's still there?
Yeah, not in the house we're in now, but the house that we used to live in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So let me ask you this. What's the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator?
So, it's just that. So a ghost hunter hunts ghosts and or investigates ghosts, spirits. A paranormal investigator is going to investigate cryptids, UFOs, urban legends, anything that is not normal. That's paranormal. Yeah. Uh, I think the paranormal one thing has it's been so skewed towards like ghost hunting,
Right.
when there's so much more to the field than just investigating ghosts.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with that answer, because I spend kind of my specialty, and I don't know if you and I have actually talked about this one, but my specialty is the things that you find in nature. Not just, like say Bigfoot or
Right.
that sort of thing, but like elemental energy and stuff like that. I've spent a lot of time exploring that sort of stuff, and have caught what I believe to be some evidence of it. But I live in a place where that's kind of what happens around here. Like it's a big thing, whether people know it or not. But there's guys like me that deal with it a lot.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother story. But that's a good answer. And I think people confuse paranormal investigator with ghost hunter. Like paranormal investigators, we look at a lot of stuff. A lot of it is the spirit world.
Right.
But there's guys like me where I'm into the science of finding what else is out there, not just a spirit that once walked the earth, that sort of thing. Okay, so orbs. How do you feel about orbs?
So, do I believe that spirit can manifest in an orb form? Yes. Do I believe that 98% of the pictures, maybe even more than that, or video is spiritual orbs? No. I believe it's dust, like a type of not really lens flare, but dust, moisture in the air, bugs. I mean, there's all kind, like it's just yeah, I don't buy into most of it. Now, when you physically see a ball of light, when you can physically see that orb, that's when it's like, holy crap. Or the movement of it on video compared to, dust is more like a snowflake falling. Like dust has its movement.
Right. Its path. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if it takes different shape, almost like a manifestation, and it's not just a solid round ball. Rods, for instance, those I find a little more intriguing than orbs. So there you go.
Good answer. Good answer. I think a lot of people that are serious about the science of this understand that a lot of that can be confused. And I'm a big proponent of, let's back up. Now I've seen some orbs that people have caught. There's a lady on TikTok who posts a lot of orbs. And a good majority of them, I believe, are actual orbs. Not only are animals reacting in the video to the movement of an orb,
Yeah.
or the people in the room are reacting to it, but we've seen close-ups where you see who that is or what that is.
Yeah.
This in one of the cases, it was an actual dog, and you see the dog. You compare that with a picture of the actual dog, and it was the same damn thing.
Yeah.
So that I believe, you really have to be careful with them, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, I saw a shadow, or I saw an orb." I saw one lady that was posting videos of, she saw shadows outside, but she didn't understand that you have birds flying in the sky, and when they're way up there, they cast a giant shadow on the ground.
Right.
And she was like, "There was this huge shadow," and I was like, "I'm sorry, but I believe that's a bird."
Yeah.
That's the way. I mean, we have to be skeptical to a point of, especially with orbs. I'm not a huge fan of them, to be honest, myself.
Which,
But I believe they are actual things.
having said what you just said, leads us to also, you take a picture, and when you zoom in on it, it gets pixelated.
Right.
Or you take a picture of a window, a building, and in that window, you see a face, you see a man. I think the majority of the time, that's just a case of pareidolia, where it's like, you look into a wood grain and you can see a face, or you look at the clouds. Oh yeah, that cloud looks like, a dog.
Right.
You
Our
know,
brains are programmed to find faces in patterns.
yes.
We're hardwired to do so. So that's why pareidolia is a very big issue.
Yeah.
And why
Yeah.
I'm also very careful when I capture something. I'm like, well, am I seeing in this photo? Like, what evidence do I have that this is an actual spirit? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, as an investigator and a psychic medium, I'm still very skeptical of a lot of the things that happen, because the fact of the matter is, you can explain some of this stuff away. Like,
Right.
there's a logical explanation for it.
And
And I think skepticism is healthy.
if you're not skeptic, then you shouldn't even be doing this, because everything you see and hear, you're going to think is a ghost anyway. So what's the point in even doing it? Yeah.
If you're not skeptical to some degree, like you said earlier, have an open mind, but have skepticism, because skepticism is healthy. But if you're not going to be skeptical of what you see, you're not looking for the truth. That's my opinion. You're not looking for the truth. You're looking for an experience, and anything and everything is your experience.
Very well said.
Where like you and I, we're looking for the actuality of this, the truth of what's there after we pass,
Right.
So, well, Brian, I could sit here for days. You and I could talk, because we always have the greatest conversations, but I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I know you're an hour ahead of me, and I know you're a night owl anyway. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I'm so glad we got to have this interview, to put on the podcast.
Dude, I'm honored, and yeah, I'm thankful and proud that you invited me. Yeah, asked me to.
Yeah, I mean, how could I not?
I mean, if we wasn't doing this on your podcast, we would have probably just been doing it on the phone anyway. So
Right, right.
might as well just document it.
But you had that idea of doing the roundtable, and I hope that one of these days we actually
Yeah.
can make that come to fruition, because I think that the conversations that just you and I have and some of the other people that we know would be phenomenal. Like people would love to hear some of the things we talk about.
And I think that's what the field needs also is a roundtable type of situation where we can have a good, healthy debate, a good healthy discussion. You know, you don't believe in orbs? Okay, cool. I do. Here's why, you know, and just and talk like civilized human beings, you know, no badgering or name calling, none of that. Let's talk about theories and, you know, and just enjoy each other's opinions and ideas.
Experiences. Yeah. I hope that we can make that happen, because I'm telling you, that would be a good show. That would be a good show.
You never know.
So we're going to have to work on that. I'm telling you. But anyways, Brian, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. As always, if you guys are not following POV Paranormal on TikTok, it is POV_paranormal. Do you have a YouTube? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You have a YouTube.
Yeah. It's just POV Paranormal.
POV Paranormal.
Same as Facebook. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So Facebook too. Same thing. POV Paranormal across the board, except for on TikTok, there's an underscore between it.
Right.
So if you guys aren't following POV Paranormal, you definitely should be following them. They do live investigations. This I can attest to, having spent time with these guys, is a great team. Like, you can't do better with, and if you ever get a chance to investigate with them or get to Post Town like I want to do, take that opportunity, because these are some great folks. The entire team, not just Brian, but the entire team is awesome.
Greatly appreciate that. And yeah, on Facebook is where we post our public events at Post Town. So if you do want to investigate with us, check us out there.
Right. And Post Town has a Facebook page also, don't they?
Yes. And website. It's Post Town Elementary School.
Okay. So check them out. You guys can book investigations at Post Town. You know, since they're the resident team there, if you go there, there's a good likelihood that you're going to see them. And if you can meet these guys, I highly recommend that you do so. But thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show. And we will talk again soon.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
See you, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the show. And remember, we want to hear from you. Do you have questions about the paranormal, about mediumship? Do you have a story of an experience you just can't explain? Well, do us a favor. Email us at paranormalscienceinvestigators@gmail.com. And your question or story may end up on the show. And if you'd like to see our video content, you can check us out on YouTube at paranormal_investigators, or on TikTok with the same name. Or if you'd like to do Instagram, it's Josh_paranormal_investigators. Come check out our video content of actual paranormal investigations and our everyday content. Just look for the yellow PSI logo. Thank you again. We'll see you on the next episode. Love y'all. Bye-bye.